Welcome to Rounding to the Nearest 10. Good to see you today. I want to teach you something that mathematicians and people all over the world use every day. You know already that if you were to count by tens, let's do that, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It's a whole lot easier to count and add tens than it is to do pretty much anything else. So I'm going to teach you a skill today that you're going to use tomorrow to make estimating one of your best friends. You don't have to know what estimating means today, but today we are going to learn how to round to the nearest 10. There are some rules in math that help you do that. When you're rounding to the nearest 10, you can use what we have on the board here, which is called a number line. Notice what's different about this than some of the other line segments that you've seen in the past. Can you notice? Look at the very ends of my line. Yes, they have arrows on them. Mathematicians use that to show that the line continues and never stops. Remember that when you draw a line segment, when you measured with your ruler, your line segment only showed one portion of the line and stopped at the beginning and the end to measure something. However, when you see something like this, these little arrows tell you that the line continues far past what you can draw. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a particular section of this line. And if you have your textbook open, we are going to be doing some of the things here starting on page 28. So you're welcome to follow along with me. The first thing I want you to see is that if I have, let's say I'm going to start here with this being 80 and this being 90, if this were 70 and this were 100, each long tick mark would probably be what amount? 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Okay, well if these are the fives, let's see with the little tick marks if they would be a 1. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. All right, so I'm going to give you a number, and I'm going to, let's say, I'm going to give you 82 right here, like is in your book, 82. And if you were to look at 82, you could use this line to tell me that 82 is closer to or is about what number nearest to 10. So if you are only looking at the tens places, the 70, 80, 90, 100, 82 is closest or nearest to 80. Do you see that? Okay, so you can round then. You could say that 82 is about 80. My pen is breaking up here. Here we go. It's about 80. Or you could say 82 is 80 when rounded to the nearest 10. We rounded it to the nearest 10 because it was closest to that number. All right, so what then if I said we had a number that was 98? What would 98 be when rounded to the nearest 10? When I say rounded to the nearest 10, I'm going to go either up or down to the closest 10 based on where it's closer to. Well, 98 is closer to 100 than it is to 90. So 98 becomes 100 when rounded to the nearest 10. But what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when I have a number that falls right in the middle? What does 75 round to? Some of you know already. Good job. Whenever you have a 5, whenever it's right in between the two, we always round up. We always round up. What do? We always round up. When we're right dead in the center, we always round? Yes. So 75 becomes 80 when we're rounding to the nearest 10. It's going to round up. You're never going to round in this chapter. We're not going to round to fives, to the 1 We're always going to round to the 10. So you're going to take whatever this number is and you're either going to go up to 80 or down to 70 depending on what the numbers are. 75 would go up to 80. 82 would go down to 80. 98 would go up to 100. All right? Let's take a look at some other information here. I'm going to change my number line and give you a different setup here. We're going to move on. If you're following with me in the textbook, move to page 30. When you round to the nearest 10, all of the digits, let's see, we're going to go here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. All of the things that are going to round to 20 are going to be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Obviously, if you take that to the nearest 10, it's going to be 20. 21 is going to round down to 20. 22, 23, and 24. This whole set from 5 goes up to 20, and from 24 goes down to 20. All of those numbers, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, would all round to the nearest 10 would be 20. The numbers that would round to 30, can you guess what those are? There are going to be a lot of them. They're going to be the same number of them. They're going to be 9 of them. So 25 rounds up to 30. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 moves to 30, 31 rounds down to 30, 32, 33, and 34. All of those numbers are going to round to 30. They're the closest numbers to 30. Do you see the pattern there? Okay, so let's do a couple. I'm going to give you a number. You're going to take out a sheet of paper and a pencil, doesn't matter what kind. If you need to pause me until you take out a piece of paper and a pencil, that's totally fine. I'm going to give you some numbers and you're going to tell me, you're going to write down the nearest 10 that it rounds to. Are you ready? Get your paper ready. Here is your first number. I want you to round the number 29. 29 rounds to the nearest 10. $29 would round to, I hope you said 30. 29 would be right here, and so it would round to 30. What about 36? What does 36 round to? 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36 is right here. What's the closest 10? 36 rounds to 40. Good. What about 45? What does 45 round to? 45 is dead in the center, 45, so it rounds up to 50. What about 14? Oops. Way back down here. Where does 14 round to? 14. 11, 12, 13, 14. 14, it's closest to, rounds down to 10. All right, what about 42? 42, 40, 41, 42, rounds, the nearest 10 would be 40. You get the idea. What if we have a 3-digit number? What if we have a 3-digit number? Do we still have to look at the hundreds place even though it's a 3-digit number? Let's find out. What if we have, let's just say, I'm going to shrink this down, we have 860 and 870. So this would be 865, 861, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 870. All right, so if I have 863 1, 2, 3. If I have 863 and I'm rounding to the nearest 10, I don't even have to look at the hundreds place. I can see that 863, when rounded to the nearest 10, is either going to be 860 or 870, and it's going to be 860 because it's closer to the 60 than to the 70. All right, so what if I have, moving down a little bit more, what if I have, I'm going to scooch over a page, what if I have 300, 305, 310, 320, and this would be 290. Okay, what if I have the number 306? 305, 306. If I have 306, how does that round to the nearest 10? Can you write that on your paper, please? It should be 310. What if I have the number 298 rounded to the nearest 10? 298 rounds to the nearest 10 would be 300. Anytime you need to, when you're doing these kinds of problems and you just have a number you're supposed to round, it is wonderful to draw yourself a little mini line and put your little tick marks on it. Give yourself 10 tick marks, put your 5 mark in there, and draw your X for your number. That's going to make it really clear where you're supposed to round. All right? So I'm going to have you now take your book. You are going to turn to this Let's Practice page right here. It says Let's Practice. It is page 36. You are only going to do 36. You have 2 options. One option is to have your mom or dad make a copy of this page, just photocopy it. Then you can take your pencil and you can mark your X's just like I did on the board for what these numbers are and circle the one that's closest to the 10, what it's nearest to 10. Or you can get out your piece of paper, put it over this, and trace your line right here that's just like on your book so that you can mark on your piece of paper where these marks are and where they're going, what the closest 10 is, so that you're rounding to the nearest 10. Do this entire sheet, page 36, and send me a picture of it, because we're going to use this tomorrow when we're actually using problems, and this is going to come in really, really handy. All right? Very fun rounding with you. I'm going to round myself up to turn this in so that you can see it when you look at it tomorrow, and I hope you have a great day rounding. Bye.